Evening everybody, welcome into your box seat, brought to you in association with Woodlands, of course, standing Sweet Lou. Great scenes there from Alexandra Park last Friday night, the first of two nights, so therefore a lot to review and of course preview. Craig the Wild Thompson's with us once again. Terrific night Friday night.
Yeah, it was, Greg. Very good evening to you and the viewers as well. Exceeded my expectations tonight, Greg, and the way it prevailed. You know, horses coming from outside of the second row to win a Taylor Mile. Monbay was outstanding winning the Anzac Cup. Those four winners of those four feature races, they've drawn pretty well again this week.
They have, Craig, and therefore Michael Guerin will have a lot of shorties going through the multis, and we'll have to try and work out a decent sort of multi to get. Good evening to you.
Yeah, g'day Grego, hi Wild. A big hi to everybody at home. Hope you enjoyed Friday night with the boys. It was a massive night because what I'd like to see, fellas, is good horses win the best races, not the trip win the race. And all four of those races, impossible to argue the best horse didn't win them. Slightly different challenges for them all this week. I think Spanish Armada is probably the one who's in the easiest spot. Interesting challenge for Monbay, and coming up, a surprising update on Speeding Spur.
So a lot to get through. So what's ahead for you?
Coming up, Monbay went to war in the Anzac Cup and won the battle. He now has the Rowe Cup firmly in his sights. Field Marshal looks set to deliver in the Messenger following a dominant Taylor Mile display. Spanish Armada left the fillies in her wake as she set sail for home in the Caduceus. And he's back. Chris and Me put on a classic display at Rangiora, while on the other side of the world, his former stablemate was showing why he's now a bit of a legend in the States.
So let's get straight into the review of Alexandra Park. The Anzac Cup, the fifth running of this, well, it's becoming a very good race, and two terrific four-year-old trotters went to war. One had a better run than the other and showed a lot of speed in the straight.
Speeding Spur, 175 to go. Monbay, the deafness come out. He charges after Speeding Spur. Speeding Spur, Monbay flashes through on the passing lane. Whoosho, Monbay, and he'll storm away. Monbay in 2:43.1 over Speeding Spur. Jags Invasion, I'd say just third. A photo fourth, Shimon and Scary McCleary.
Ricky May, there aren't many Group 1s that you haven't ticked off in this country, but you can do that now with this one.
Oh, thanks, Greg. Yeah, well, he had a good run and he won pretty well, really.
Talk us through your mindset and what Greg and Nina were thinking going into the race. Did it pan out how you thought?
Yeah, well, we drew 1 and 2, and we've got next week to think about as well, so Greg just left it to me, basically.
He was cruising along in the trail. Not often he has the luxury of being able to follow a horse like Speeding Spur, but when you've asked him to sprint up the lane here, we all know what he's capable of.
Yeah, no, he's a very good, great horse follower in pace, I reckon, and, it all worked out perfectly, and, don't take anything away from Speeding Spur either, because this horse is very good.
He's very fast when following them. He's doubled up here, Group 1 wise at Alexandra Park, and going into next week, that'll only give you a little bit more confidence. Not that you needed any.
Yeah, no, I was surprised at the time, 43. It didn't feel like they were going that, but, it's definitely a nice run for next week.
Fifth Group 1 of the season for Monbay, all of them at free-for-all level. Therefore, Michael, is he in the van, if you like, in terms of the Horse of the Year title?
Not for me, no. I clearly have faith in me he's going to win a Horse of the Year.
What about if he won the Rowe Cup and then went to the Jewels as well? Doesn't matter? 7 Group 1s he would have won if he does that.
Look, I understand what you're saying. He'll win Trotter of the Year. Have faith in me, he won the Auckland Cup from the Unruly. He won the Miracle Mile in the fastest time ever in this part of the world. Won the Chariots of Fire. No. I only get one vote though, so you boys get a vote as well, of course, as do many of our media friends at home. Look, he's a wonderful horse. My views on the horse are well known. I still think potentially he could be the best trotter since Lyell Creek. He leads a larger body of work to show that. He's been a little bit lucky in the fact that he's probably come up against some of his rivals when they weren't at the peak of their powers. Master Lavros was starting to tail off a little bit. Stent, clearly we didn't see the best of, but this is a very special horse, fellas. I mean, Speeding Spur's a good horse. I think this horse is faster in a straight line, and whether he has the body and the wherewithal to go as far as Speeding Spur, you get the feeling, Craig, that maybe he's the more brilliant, and for some reason that makes you think he might have the shorter career of the two. But if he does hang around, for 2 or 3 or 4 seasons as a gelding, he's going to win an awful lot of money.
He's an exciting horse because of his electrifying speed, and that's what I criteria it as electrifying, because he's got speed of a pacer as a 4-year-old trotter. He won that race because he got the trail. The surprising for me thing for the start of the race, boys, when we catch the start, was how quickly Speeding Spur got across him. Now, I'm not thinking Mon Bay didn't want to lead. I think he had no option. I think Josh just got there so quickly. You look Ricky on the inside, and he taps up Mon Bay here, but Speeding Spur 3/4 of a length across him at the winning post, and from there he just rolled along in front. But from that run, as we said last week, he had all the positives. He's either going to lead or trail Mon Bay, and he got that perfect run. Disappointments out of the race, many of them, Greg, because of an open class trot, only 4 of them didn't trot the whole, 4 of them trotted the whole way. I mean, we saw at the start, galloping early on, we had quite a moment, and Shimon, Valmain, Waterloo, Sunset from the 400 metre mark. We only had 4 trotters that completed the journey in a full trot. So disappointing effort out of that race. We'll see it all unfold again this Friday night.
Yeah, we will. And once they settled there, it was only ever going to be one Quinella. We'll hear from Josh Dickey and then react to what he had to say off the back of that.
He's gone good, Josh, but he just had the wrong one sitting on his back.
Yeah, no, he's a great horse, Mon Bay, there's no doubt about that. Trotted home at 27.5, he was still good enough to beat me. No excuses, he was a better horse on the night.
Nice to hear Ricky May give him a compliment, though. He said, don't take anything away from the runner-up, because he has total respect for you as well.
Oh yeah, like, there's good rivalry between these two horses, and you know, one day we might be able to follow him and see if we can repeat it.
Yeah. What about Rowe Cup next week? What are you thinking with that in mind?
Yes, sort of race that would suit this horse a lot. He just may have to change the way we drive him. Maybe we probably won't beat Mon Bay driving like that, but we'll just, you know, we'll have a good think about it and we'll go from there.
As we know, post that, there was an injury there, Michael, and you have to wonder the way he got up the straight, and he normally puts that head right out and tries all the way to the line. He was trying, but he just didn't have the acceleration we expect from him.
First things first, it wouldn't have affected the result. The other horse was too fast. I think everybody knows that. I think most people are pretty aware, boys, we didn't see the best of Speeding Spur. They're concerned that maybe he kicked a wall during the night and they didn't catch that. He warmed up looking all right. He trotted pretty fluently, but maybe the last 100 metres wasn't quite there. That was an off-hind injury. Now, subsequent to that, they are looking, the swelling's come up, so they're looking to scan the horse tomorrow. He's out of the Rowe Cup, clearly, he's not on the field. The initial thoughts from the Dickey team was he'd be out of the Jewels as well. Josh Dickey reporting to us today, that may not be the case. He said there's a little tiny chance he could be in the Jewels. Why is that important? Because Mon Bay, as you know, Greg, speaking to Greg Hope, they want to go home. So if they win the Rowe Cup, they may go home. If they do that, Speeding Spur is $1.10 for the Jewels. So all of a sudden, if they can get him there in any shape at all, I think they'll attempt to get him there. You get the feeling Mon Bay may not be there?
Yeah, a little bit of ducks and drakes at the moment, isn't it? Non-committal is the idea behind Greg and Nina at this stage. They're going to get through the Rowe Cup and then decide from there. But it clearly, in terms of a market and you know the likely winner of that race, has a huge part to play.
Well, we were talking 4 weeks ago about 2 dominating 4-year-old trotters, Australasian trotters of the year. Now they may both not be there. Big beneficiary of that is Harriet of Mott, obviously Sunny Ruby, and Sunny Ruby goes around this weekend. So there's a lot to pan out in the next 4 weeks, whether these 2 trotters end up there.
Okay, plenty of news to come out regarding that. Let's move on to the feature this week, and of course it's the 98th running of the Rowe Cup. Only one horse, I Can Do's It's won the Anzac Cup into the Rowe Cup. Mind you, the Anzac Cup is only in its infancy. Here is the field and markets, boys, and Michael, you have a stat around Mon Bay.
Mon Bay, inside of the second line. First things first, bizarrely, he could still move up. If there's a scratching on the front line, Mon Bay would move to the outside of the front line. That's not good enough for me. Where you draw, if you draw the second line, you have to stay the second line. How can there be different rules for mobiles and standing starts? If I'm sitting at home and I want to have my 50,000, if I'm some gigantic punter on Mon Bay, I do not know where he's going to start yet. He's probably going to start from one on the second line. $1.14, keep your 50 grand in your pocket. Shortest price ever for a Rowe Cup favourite. Lyle Creek was $1.15 on the tote when he won in 2001. I Can Do's It was $1.20 when he ironically won from the same barrier draw, one on the second line, about 2012. And one over Kenny was $1.40. Lyle Creek's been $1.42. Lyle Creek, of course, won it 3 times. $1.14 from one on the second line. that just makes me go, no. But that whole barrier draw thing, guys, I'm not sure what your views are on this. Standing starts at Alexandra Park, you didn't used to be able to move forward. If there's a scratching on the front line, you can move forward. One question, why?
I don't have any answer other than that's how it's always been. Does that make it right?
But ironically, it hasn't always been this way at Alexandra Park.
No.
In the South Island, you used to move forward from a standing start. In the North Island, you didn't.
Right.
And now you do, which brings me back to the last question.
Well, I never knew
why?
that. I always thought that it was the same universally through the country. Now it is the same universally through the country.
Can I make
Do
a
we still
suggestion?
make it
Something
right or
that
not?
the bookmakers should do in this race: take the favourite out of the option. Why not? I mean, he's $1.14. Who honestly is going to take the $1.14 other than the massive punches in this race? Take him out of the option. That'll give you a second favourite around about, what, $5 or $6?
Yep.
Gives people to get involved in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good idea.
I reckon,
Don't mind it.
I don't mind favourites out markets. I just don't think anybody ever bets into them much. I'm not saying they're not a bad idea, but the standing start thing, though, this perplexes me totally, because the more you think about this, if you backed a horse in the Melbourne Cup and it's drawn barrier 4, you can move into barrier 3 if the scratching's inside you. But you can't move in the Victoria Pacing Cup from the second line to the front line. You can't do that. And what it also opens the race up to is, now quite a moment's on the unruly. Had she drawn the front line and they thought, well, let's scratch her and move Monbay up to the front, it actually opens the race up to manipulation. I don't think this rule is right. I think where horses draw front line or second line, they should stay there because it provides uncertainty, which I'm not comfortable with.
Okay, all right. That's a fair point from Michael Guerin. Quick trivia question. Rick May, if he is able to secure his second row cup, what was his first one on?
Cedar Fella?
No.
Stylish Monarch.
Nope. Highwood.
Ah, there you go.
Didn't
know
think
these
I'd ever
things.
get you see?
No, Cedar Fella won the Dominion, eh?
Yeah, it did. Definitely. Warren
loser. What a
Stapleton.
loser.
And Highwood was trained by him as well. There you go. All right, let's move on and have a look at Field Marshal winning the Taylor Mile. This was a terrific show of speed. Let's get Aaron White to bring them home and see how good this horse has really got.
Lane now, and then Robbie Burns. Field Marshal goes to my Kiwi mate. Little Rascal and Risk on the inside. Field Marshal driven for home by Double D. And the Group 1 Waste Management Taylor Mile goes the way of Field Marshal. Rattling home Tasman Bromax second, deep on the passing lane. Then Robbie Burns and Risk. Better spirits when it was all over.
Congratulations, Dexter. A terrific performance from this horse. He had to be way better than them tonight, and he was.
Yeah, exactly. You put it right, Greg. He did have to be way better because, you know, we sort of ended up, after it all settled down far enough back, that it was sort of a tricky situation, really. If we, you know, waited till halfway down the back, we're going to be 4 or 5 wide around the last bend. So, yeah, I mean, we did a bit of work, sort of burned for a good 150 metres there, and then we sort of grabbed hold and got a little bit of a sort of breather towards the end of the second last quarter. And but he was just travelling so good. He probably raced the way he looked. He looked amazing.
Look, it takes a good horse to be able to do that. You've driven a lot of fast horses. Straight line speed, though, he must be right up there.
He's very, very quick, Greg, and but he's proven in his races this season he can do work as well. So, you know, he's really stepping up and proven he's got the all-round game, and you know, obviously he seems to get stronger every year. So you think he's just going to get better and better.
And of course, up to the Messenger distance next week will pose no problems either.
No, that's right. You know, you have a lot of confidence when you get to sit behind one of Tim Butts in a Group 1. So, you know, I'm sure he'll have him on his A game again next week like he did tonight.
Tim, not that you needed to get back in Group 1 winning glory, but you thought this horse might be the one, and he's done it tonight.
Oh, great thrill, Greg. You know, like from a mare that I loved and trained her, and for great owners, and you know, to get back in the Group 1 with a horse like that and do it the way he did was very special.
Were you surprised that he was able to burn that hard down the back and then sit up and then go again? Because you've always had a lot of confidence in him.
Yeah, he's an unassuming horse. You know, I said to Barry Purdon, we just don't know sort of get a real good line on him. But tonight it proved how you know, special he could be.
Well, he rough and tumbled it tonight, going into the Messenger next week, and then ultimately the Jewels as well will give you a lot of confidence.
Yeah, for sure. He's in the zone. He's jumping out of his skin, and I was very confident this morning the horse is spot on. So he'll just tick over now, and yeah, the Messenger's a different beast, but he's, you know, he's in the right nick and showing he's superior at the moment.
He's always had exceptional speed, but 26.2 4 wide down the back was a great example of that, Craig.
Yeah, actually last half was 54.2. It was 55 off the front, but he was third to last at the 800 metre mark, and he was making around 3 and 4 wide. Good season this horse, isn't he? He's won 5 from 7, I think 7 from 9. I think he's a horse that Tim Butt needed at this time of his career. I mean, he's had so many good horses in the past. I mean, you go back to the likes of Stun and Cullen. For real, his dam was exceptional tribute, Master DG. He's had a lot of trotters of late, but he hasn't had a real good pacer probably in the last 3 or 4 years, Greg. So it's good that he's got this bloke back. And I think he's a horse that I think is probably more suited to the sprint journeys and longer trips. He's got exciting speed, and he's a wonderful individual. When you look at him, the presence on the track, absolutely outstanding art major, but a little bit different this week, 2,700 metres. I'm not convinced he's a longer distance horse. I think he may be a short distance horse. I think he's only ever been tried further back than 2,400 metres twice, so interesting to see how he goes this week. But a lot of gate speed at the start here, wrist very quickly away. I thought the run of the Aussie horse was quite good. You know, it parked out the whole way and he stuck on pretty well. And Tasman Bromac justified Nathan's coming north and getting a lovely run on the fence, and I thought he made up good ground. But the winner was clearly better than them, considering the work that he had to do in the race.
Yeah, impossible to argue with him. That's him in the harness jewels colours. Actually second last now, and very few horses ever come from back in the
Particularly
field.
in that race, as you highlighted
In the
your
last
article.
13 years, no horses come from further back than the 1-1 with a lap to go. So he's done what good horses haven't been able to do. I don't think this is the hottest Taylor Mile field ever, but he's a good horse. He's a genuine Grand Circuit horse. In his 3-year-old career, you get the feeling he was a bit weak all the time, but that was because of the throat thing. They gave him the throat operation, and that means he can now breathe. So maybe he'll get the 2,700. He's better than the horses in this bunch, and whether he wins or not this week, he has to be a dominant favourite for the jewels, because, fellas, with that speed and his gate speed round Cambridge, he'll be awfully hard to beat.
Okay, of those in behind, here's what their drivers had to say.
Nathan, going into it, he was certainly a race-hardened horse, and that proved to be to his advantage.
Yeah, that's right. No, he's he's had a bit of racing, and it sort of stood to him tonight. I was thrilled with his run. Yeah.
Look, he got a beautiful run back on the inside. That's the sort of go at this level he's going to need. But man, he found the line.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, we didn't, come around a horse, so that's obviously helped our cause. But no, I was absolutely thrilled with the way he attacked the line, and it just shows that there's not a lot between all these horses, and it just comes down to the right run. But no, we're going to have to find a few links to match the winner next week.
Timmy's gone really well.
Yeah, it's a terrific run on, like you say, we had a nice run, but to his credit, he's gone good, and he got held up across the top. And Johnny and Robert told me he'd go a great race, and they did right.
Jody, that run had plenty of merit.
Yeah, no, really happy with him. He had to do all the work. He was 3 wide working early to the chair, and sort of no cover come early enough for us, unfortunately, but he stuck to his guns well.
You got over here reasonably late, so you'd imagine he would improve going into the Messenger.
Yeah, providing that run hasn't knocked him about too much, he should be better next week.
Great to have him here, my Kiwi mate. Out of that race, Craig, better spirits. Obviously, following through, Nathan Williamson was also finding the line
really
really
like
strongly.
catching, cutting the corner, Greg. They went back and they took the short way home, and it looks good when you do it, but different horse when you have to come around them. Draw this week changes a couple of things. I think Robbie Burns is drawn inside this week, and they were pretty keen on leading last week. So over the longer journey, 2,700 metres, he's got a nice chance of getting into the money. And obviously horses like Better Spirits, who can sit back in one run, will be running on. But very hard to tip against Field Marshal the way he won last week.
All right, so let's have a look at the market for the Messenger of 2016. It'll be the 49th time they go round, and he has a chance of being the 8th horse to do the double here, Michael Guerin, the last christened me in 2013.
Look, if they have these doubts, fellas, over his ability to maybe cop a hard 2,700 metres, the easiest way to take them out of play is go forward.
And
go forward, lead, and then just sit there. I mean, there's no pressure in this race. There's not a horse in here you go, oh, it'll just come rough him up. Maybe Maverick at his best, but the rest of them aren't those sort of horses. He leads. It's impossible to see him being beaten. Interesting runner, I think, was Hug the Wind. He was really good leading into last week, and I thought he was a race below his best last week. Better barrier draw this week, chance to turn things around and stamp himself as a chance to go to the jewels. But as Craig said, it's really hard to make a case for anything else as a winning option.
All right, well, under the lights, they'll certainly have a good look at that, Craig Thompson, and of course we'll be there Friday night with all the information for you. Short break for us. When we come back, we'll review those other Alexandra Park highlights and also preview the ones about to unfold on Friday.